Look at this generated silhouette. Online communities dedicated to Looksmaxxing have elevated this exact morphing figure into the ultimate male standard, a physique directly modeled after fictional anime and manhwa protagonists. The aesthetic relies on three strict physical pillars. First, a flawless, sharply angled jawline. Second, a massive, broad-shouldered upper body. And third, an incredibly lean, narrow waist to create a dramatic V-taper. If you scroll through TikTok or fitness YouTube, you'll find hundreds of videos promising to help you achieve this exact look in a single month. These 30-day glow-up guides package the aesthetic into a compressed, highly structured biohacking routine. To hit that 30-day deadline, the routines promote extreme and often bizarre methods. You'll see teenagers repeatedly striking their own cheekbones with hammers in a practice called bone smashing, suctioning their tongues to the roofs of their mouths in mewing tutorials, and grinding through thousands of daily abdominal crunches. But human anatomy operates on strict biological timelines. True aesthetic transformation requires confronting the hard physiological laws of bone and muscle development, rather than relying on viral internet shortcuts. Let's look at the first physical goal, the sharp jawline, and the dangerous trend of bone smashing. Practitioners believe that repeatedly hitting their faces with hard objects creates a wider, chiseled bone structure. This diagram shows Wolff's Law, the concept bone smashers misinterpret. Healthy bone thickens uniformly under controlled, directional physical loads, like lifting weights. But blunt force trauma is chaotic. Hitting delicate facial structures causes uncontrolled microfractures, swelling, and permanent nerve damage, rather than structural growth. The actual biological mechanism for revealing a sharp jawline is much simpler. It requires lowering overall body fat to expose the existing skeletal structure underneath, combined with proper hydration and limiting sodium to drop subcutaneous fluid retention in the face. A prominent jaw is the result of low body fat and genetic bone structure. Attempting to physically hammer the facial skeleton into a new shape doesn't bypass biology. It simply invites irreversible facial deformity. Moving down to the upper body, we hit a hard, fixed anatomical limit. You cannot physically widen your skeletal frame, but you can dramatically alter your visual aspect ratio. The only biological mechanism capable of forcing muscles to grow outward is progressive overload. You have to consistently subject the muscle fibers to increasing mechanical tension over time, forcing them to repair and expand. This 3D muscular map shows the two specific muscle groups responsible for creating the V-taper illusion. The lateral deltoids cap the outside of the shoulders, while the latissimus dorsi sweep down the sides of the back. Applying heavy, targeted mechanical tension to these areas through compound movements like pull-ups and overhead presses forces these specific fibers into hypertrophy. As they grow, they physically push the upper frame outward. The broad-shouldered anime aesthetic is essentially a carefully engineered optical illusion. It is driven entirely by sustained, long-term muscle growth layered over your natural skeletal width. That illusion requires a strong contrast, leading us to the final aesthetic pillar, the waistline. This image demonstrates the benchmark for a hyper-lean, narrow midsection. A persistent internet myth claims that doing thousands of daily crunches will reveal a six-pack and mechanically narrow the waist. In reality, crunches can build the abdominal muscles, but they do nothing to shrink the fat sitting on top of them, and certainly don't pull the waist inward. The physiological reality of revealing the rectus abdominis relies entirely on a sustained caloric deficit. You must consume fewer calories than you burn to lower your overall body fat percentage. This cross-section shows a technique to actually tighten the midsection, the stomach vacuum. Exhaling deeply and pulling your navel toward your spine engages the transversus abdominis, a deep core muscle acting like an internal corset to stabilize the spine and pull the waist inward. You shrink the subcutaneous fat through a strict diet, and you pull the internal muscles tight through deep core conditioning. That combination cements the narrow bottom half of the V-taper illusion. When we evaluate the viral 30-day glow-up challenge against the biological realities of fat loss and muscle hypertrophy, the timeline completely falls apart. Physiologically, it is impossible to build significant skeletal muscle mass or permanently remodel adult bone structure within a single month. Promising that timeline creates a psychological trap. It drives young men into hyper-competitive Looksmaxxing forums, where failure to achieve rapid results leads to extreme body dysmorphia, looping endlessly against impossible standards set by fictional characters. The only actual value found in a 30-day challenge is the practice of habit stacking. Using a month to establish baseline routines, like drinking enough water, consistently washing your face, and executing a basic daily workout, builds a foundation for discipline. True aesthetic transformation requires abandoning the illusion of internet quick fixes. You have to respect the slow, biomechanical reality of your anatomy, committing to years